Yo, 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 welcome. State of Collectivity, part 2. We got our mysterious co-host Twizzy back. I don't know where he's been. What up, OG Twiz?
Oh man, what's good, man?
And we got the real OG Rich back in. Yeah, a few days ago was Veterans Day, so we're gonna start off with that. Happy Veterans Day, my man Rich.
Happy Veterans Day, bro.
Appreciate it.
How many joints did you do in there, Rich?
Too many, but 20.
20. Woo! That's older than 20, I think.
Just about.
It's a lifetime.
Yeah, man. So State of Collectivity is our quick segment where we just, talk quickly about some stuff that's going on in our mind and stuff. But the first thing, man, I was thinking in your transition, man, it's been what now? Over what? Almost 2 years now or less than 2 years?
That's all. It's three plus.
Wow. It's been that long?
Yeah.
And how you feeling? Like how you feeling as a free man?
Still weird.
What's Veterans Day for a veteran actually mean to you?
To me, honestly, I look at Veterans Day as just a day of appreciation. It's nothing big. I know a lot of people are like, oh, get the free meals. And me personally, it's not about free meals. I know that there's homeless veterans. And a day to relax.
No doubt. All right. So, the first thing I want to talk about today, man, besides giving you your props, Rich, because from all this time that I've known you, I still don't know how you spent 20 years in the United States military. I don't even understand how people transition back, because every time Rich re-enlisted, I'm like, what? You going back in, bro? Like, what? You got your discharge day you want to stay in? But definitely wanted to add Veterans Day. You're one of the veterans who respect. So that's my transition, is just people who I respect. So for the viewers out there, me, Twizzy, and Rich, although I truly appreciate their responsibility to their family and their life and being responsible, but with that responsibility kind of comes, and I don't want to use this word where it gets misconstrued, but it becomes an irresponsibility to the podcast. So the podcast is not our life, guys. To the viewers out there, we love you guys, but Twizzy and Rich and I are probably the most busy people ever. So to catch us on the same day is quite difficult. And even people we want to potentially interview, that becomes more difficult. Or, so we just had to get in, touch base, see where Twizzy's been at, because I haven't seen him in months. Cast, they miss him. For you two guys, man, I download YouTube, what's it called? But it shows our analytics on YouTube. And the biggest thing I figured out, let me see if I find out what it's called again. YouTube Studio. The analytic thing that I wanted to discuss was our most viewers come from Facebook.
What?
Nice.
What do you think about that?
Surprised. I'm just surprised because looking at the demographics on the podcast where it's just the audio, our biggest demographic are
yeah, so I was like, I don't know if it's coming off, because I only put the page on Twizzy's, Rich's, and whoever the potential person is. So whether it was Edward last time or Beans, but I thought it was all like 178 viewers come from YouTube. So that's just my thought was, how does that happen? Because like I said, what do you think?
The algorithm.
Is it Twizzy's fan base over there?
Yeah,
it's the algorithm. They probably waiting on Twizzy to start rapping again.
Oh man, I don't know about all that, but I do know
for Grey Goose and Sunny D and Grey Goose. What is it called?
Yeah, Grey Goose and Sunny D. Nah, man, that's done. That's somewhere in the stash somewhere. But anyways,
it's waiting on one. It's waiting on one special guest reel right now. That's the hottest track of the summer.
Oh man, yeah,
Bags.
We're not even gonna get into that guy. Yeah, we're not even gonna do that. But no, I know a lot of people are. I think what it is ease of use. Not everybody knows how to use Instagram. Not everybody knows how to use Twitter. Not everybody knows how to use, look for podcasts and go on even like most people might use Apple Music and stuff like that, or anything else to stream stuff. But I know people use Facebook. A lot of people use Facebook, whether you're young, whether you're older, whether you're tech savvy or not. So I think it's just ease of use. I think people just find the link easier on Facebook and they just click it and kind of keep it moving, you know?
I feel like you was taking shots at me and Rich, man. What's going on there? What do you mean older people use Facebook, bro?
I'm just saying everybody uses Facebook from every demographic. That's what I'm saying.
He said, he said we're not on TikTok and all the others. He's like, Facebook was it.
Nah, I saw.
You got to remember, we're the MySpace generation.
I saw you in there doing a shoot dance, Rich. I saw you.
You definitely never saw that. There'd definitely be no video footage of that ever.
So one of the cool things too, man. Damien was like, "Oh, I call your podcast." I'm like, "You caught the podcast?" He's like, "Yeah," because I watch it every time. And I want to segue into support, man. I just think me and Twitty talk about it on our daily rants, but support is so weird. This is my challenge this week, right? So besides my twin sister, who's an avid viewer, if any of my family members, including my siblings, my cousins, my nieces, my nephew, if you can tell me you watch this podcast by next week, I'm gonna give you $150.
Oof, 150?
Right?
It's holiday season too.
That's what's crazy, man. I was thinking today, like support. You know, you guys know me. I mean, even though some people who think I don't support, I support. But people who I would go to jail for have not watched one episode of our podcast.
But you know how it is. I hate to say it, but you know, we're not. They rather support people that have nothing to do with them. The celebrity factor of people more so than somebody I can legit call you and give you feedback and tell you anything I want. I'd rather wish happy birthday to somebody that's not even going to say thank you than say, yo, Joe, that was a good podcast. Or yo, Joe, that podcast was horrible. Make sure Rich is not on there no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so, you know what I'm saying? It's way easier, but some people feel connected to celebrities more than people that they can shake their hand and give them a hug. You know, it's a crazy world we live in. But
yeah, man,
that's where we're at now.
I just think it's crazy, man. Like I said, man, I was assessing that today, man. There's a few people that I go to jail for or potentially die for, and those people have not watched one episode.
Listen, man, nobody likes anything that's positive and educational. You learn and it's positive. There's no hate here. There's nobody, attacking anybody here. It's really just all about uplifting. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with that. I mean, with all the stuff you get in the media regularly, like for example, you go on Instagram, you scroll, you got somebody shaking something. I'm not going to be too descriptive. And then you got somebody with a couple $100,000 in the hand. Then you got a fast car. Then you got somebody else shaking something. Then you got, like, nobody's used to seeing somebody actually stopping and taking the time. And then the few people that do, which shout out to the people that are actually taking the time to explain things and go over things, whether anything, honestly, because a lot of times people don't even take the time to explain anything. Shout out to them, but sometimes it's not as potent. And again, these are people that we're trying to touch in our community, in our neighborhood. It's not as if we're excluding them, because a lot of times people get on these platforms and completely exclude the people around them. They don't care for or care to even touch them. They want to touch somebody else that's far out, that's going to idolize them and look up to them. And we're not really looking for that. We're just looking for people to actually have the appreciation for everyone around them and what it is they're doing and how they're bettering themselves and their community and our community, as opposed to the people that are just kind of doing it for what the kids call the clout.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you took another shot at me and Rich right there. What's up, man?
Nah, listen, I said the kids call the cloud. I don't,
it's funny, man. It's Rich, we're me and Twizzy were talking to, and again, I mean, not like this person will ever even watch one episode, but we're talking to this who we wanted on the show. He's a small business owner, and we just wanted to give him his props, and we asked him, what was your favorite episode? And he's like, oh man, I'm gonna keep it honest. I couldn't do it for more than a few minutes. And we're like, what do you mean? Oh, I'm so like, what does that have to do? Like, you drive to work, man. I think the majority of podcasts is like, listen to podcasts all day. I was listening to the Kanye podcast today because, driving to the game and back, like that's what I listen to. I don't want to hear rap music no more. People killing. I just want to hear something cool, But this guy Rich was like, "Oh, I got no time," and we've been Twizzy just baffled. Like, two of your friends who you talk to every single day, and you couldn't take 30 minutes to just hear one episode.
Put it like this: if he said he couldn't listen to the first 3 minutes. 3 minutes is usually, like, I will honestly say, like the most intellectual part of it, where you get an introduction of what we're going to talk about. If you can't listen to that, probably don't need to be. I hate to say, you probably don't need to be a listener. I'm just, I don't know who this person is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope he does listen to this episode. If you're one of those people that just you have an attention span of a 3-year-old, then that's just what it is. Eventually, 10 years down the line, you might check out an episode and it'll enlighten you. Maybe it's just not there yet.
But think about that support too. So people want you to support them, which I do.
Definitely.
The support doesn't come back. And one thing about support with me is, and you guys both know, I'll support you, but there's some stuff that I don't agree with, so I won't support that. So I'll support you, but if you're doing, and how do I figure this? If you think so the term hustler means that you go after something with strong what's the word I'm looking for? Passion. It doesn't mean illegal. Biggest misconception is people think the term hustler is enmeshed and ingrained with the term illegal. That's not cool to me. So I can't support anything that's illegal. I also can't support anything that's super risky. So with that said, I'll support, but I'm a person who overthinks everything. And I also don't put my support behind things that don't align with my personal views. So if and just randomly, if you're, I bought this slaughterhouse and I killed kittens. Cool, that's great for you, but I can't get behind that because my morals the thing. So I'll still support you, but I can't. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't. Come on, you guys are smart.
You're not going to be outwardly with it. You're not going to be like, hey, check my man out. He's out here killing kittens. You might want to check him out if you need a couple of kittens taken care of.
Perfectly stated, right? So so I can't publicly. I'll support you, but I can't publicly push that because your agenda doesn't align with my morals, and my morals are, like I said, I think we're super selective with who we put on here because you have to be good parent or a good actual person. One of the
role model.
You got to be somebody. You got to be somebody that we all respect, or even if we don't respect you in the beginning, at least at the end, I can walk away and say I respect that person for who they are and what they do.
And that's on my list. And the bigger thing, as we segue, and this is just a general conversation, because some of the viewers, shout out to my sister, shout out to Dame, shout out to Marathon Eddie over there. Oh, Edward, congratulations, bro, on your second marathon. You wasn't going to do it. But, and then crazy, 7-minute time pace for 26 miles, bro. Awesome. Shout out to Nancy. She's a constant viewer. But that big respect thing, me and Twizzy were in this weird conversation the other day with one of our mutual friends who became a little distant and we have no idea why. And then I posted something on the Twitter, then I connected, I like to put a quote up every day. My quotes come from seeing social media. It has nothing to do with anyone specifically, but his friend DM'd me asking why I'm targeting this friend. And I'm like, what are you going on? And Twizzy kind of pointed out, in order for me to hear you and respect what you're saying to me, I have to first respect you. So if I have no respect for you, then you're wasting your time. So don't even bother me. If you have no home and you're homeless, don't talk to me about houses because I can't acknowledge you. If you are 100 air, don't give me millionaire advice. I don't respect that. But it was just crazy because to think that I would spend so much time to subliminally target anyone, I mean, you guys got to be like the king. You got to be famous for me to. I wasn't even thinking about it, either one of you. It was just as I scroll through social media, that's where my quotes come from when I put them on, or from our podcast. But it was just crazy, Rich. This guy, our friend's friend, DM me like you're subliminally attacking the mutual friend, and I'm like, that wasn't the case at all. But I didn't, and then I hit our friend, like, did you send him over? Like, what's going on here? Because he had to feel that way because of you. Boundaries, all three of us, if we hang out with someone, none of our friends are going to feel so comfortable where they're going to talk to our other friends that are not their friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
No third parties.
If Twizzy's friend feels so comfortable that he's going to directly contact me, then boundaries are completely screwed. If Rich's from the Army is going to talk about how to treat Rich, then something's super off, because no offense, like Twizzy said, you don't know our conversations, our daily conversations, so how can you possibly inquire about that? But that was just on the term of respect. And I think the biggest thing, our education, our purpose all together is to give respect to everyone. Like Rich said, I think there's some people we don't typically respect, or our career paths or mind frames don't align. But if you right now have changed your life and are doing something positive, then we have no problem at all giving you your accolades at all.
Yep.
Know what I'm saying, fellas?
Yep, that's it, man. And
come on, I see you smirk, bro.
No, I was gonna say, I think again, we don't necessarily always have to see eye to eye on the things that are going on, or current events or politics and things like that. But that mutual respect goes a long way. And I think boundaries go a long way too. Like there's certain people that they state, like, I don't talk about religion and politics, because you want to respect that person's boundary. I probably believe something completely different than what you believe in politics, because we never really talk about politics, honestly. You know what I mean? But it's not a thing to bring it up. And if I was to bring it up to Rich and speak about what you believe in politics in the conversation we had, then Rich's, view of you might be obscure, because now he might have thought that you believed in something else, and now his overall opinion might be swayed, and that's not fair to him. That's not fair to you, rather, if you don't have the opportunity to explain yourself. You know what I mean?
100%, man. 100%. And again, and I'm not ranting or venting. It just that whole, my thing is the whole aspect of socialization. I think, and Rich sent me, and I'm going to read it now, but the Twizzy's a rare gem. Twizzy's a little bit older in his soul than most of his counterparts that are his age. And I think
I got some salt and pepper in here somewhere.
I think there's a bit of a collapse with socialization and boundaries and respect with people Twizzy's age and younger. I think that, I think there's definitely a decline, a big respect thing, even with the internet, there's so many people who, just because I post something doesn't give you the ability to judge or give you an opinion on what I post. And I think people just don't respect that boundary. You can just like it or not like it and keep it going. You don't have to say, oh, I don't agree with this. That post wasn't for you. Like, or I see sometimes people will, the biggest thing is the mask thing still. It's funny to me. Like, someone will post, and they'll be like, I saw one at a kid's party, but where are the masks? And I'm like, what about the child's 8-year-old birthday? How about happy birthday? Now we're talking about instead of just scrolling by, if you don't like it, cool. I have to be opinionated there. I think that's boundaries too. I think social media has kind of diminished boundaries and that thing, but
it's opened up the floodgates for people to think that everybody wants to hear their opinion. Because you have that ability. If it was a face-to-face conversation, 9 times out of 10, they would not say half the things that they would post. Most people will sit there, be at that same birthday party, and then go home and make a post about how they were at a birthday party and nobody was wearing masks. Agreed. Instead of being at the party and saying, you know what, guys, I need to roll because it's end of story. You know what I'm saying? The problem is that everybody feels that their opinion matters, and I hate to say it, you can have an opinion, but it doesn't necessarily mean it matters. And you don't have to say anything. Probably we have.
And that's so their opinion matters, but it goes back to the respect of, if we don't respect your opinion matters to yourself. But if we don't respect, then again, it's falling on deaf ears. And I think that's the biggest thing. People, and Rich eloquently sent me something about emotional intelligence. And as a therapist, I use this all the time, because you have to, emotional intelligence is really assessing your part in a social system and someone else's part in a social system. If you don't have that ability to accurately identify what your part actually is or how much power you have, then you're going to fail socially. But again, if people need to have the ability, even understand the social cues. Like if I'm not making eye contact with you, or if I'm, the meme where it's like, oh, when someone's talking for 5 minutes and you're on your fifth, oh, that's crazy. If you have that I said, oh, that's crazy 6 times by now, then your emotional intelligence is very low and you need to strengthen it. So Rich sent me this the other day about the precipitous decline of emotional intelligence. New research documents declining emotional intelligence over 2 decades, so 20 years ago, right? So emotional intelligence consists of 4 factors: well-being, self-control, emotionality, and sociability, stuff we talk about all the time. The cross-temporal meta-analysis included 70 studies with nearly 17,000 participants. Access to technology was associated with decreased well-being and self-control, right? So this was on a Joe Rogan page. But emotional intelligence is so important. And the decline, I see it all the time. Young kids, I see, you guys know in all my jobs, both my jobs, I'm always working with young people, and their ability to assess accurately the role they play within, social systems of group, guys, right? So think about, if this right here is a social system, right? But then it goes bigger, right? So that's social systems theory, right? So we're a little cog, and then our family's another cog, and then our jobs are another cog, and school and the town you're in. So it goes bigger and bigger. So social theory, so micro, small to macro, right? That's the bigger piece. Emotional intelligence is so important when you're assessing your role in each social system. So Rich is good. I've seen him be around people who don't even like him and he doesn't like them, but it doesn't matter because they know their emotional intelligence is high, and they know, all right, so it doesn't matter if you don't like me, then you're not going to understand or like what I say anyway. So there's no point wasting my breath. And Twizzy too, right? Twizzy usually kills the weakness, even when some people try to wrestle him and slam him on a car. But but with that being said, that's just a personal joke. Rich will fill you in later, man. But so and I'll give you this too, right, Dre? Whoever tried to slam Twizzy on a car, if you listen to this podcast, I'll give you $200 because that's not going to happen either, right?
It's definitely not going to happen.
Now, when you work with, Twizzy works with kids. Rich works with kids, and Twizzy works with adults. Do you see this decline in emotional intelligence with you, Twiz, even with like grown adults, or no?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Because a lot of people, again, they really don't know the boundary, and on top of that, they kind of want to get their point off. So it's like they'll do anything, cross any boundary, say whatever they got to say to get their point across. So it's the same situation when, like you said, with the birthday. Instead of they'll wait till they get home, or rather than wait till they get home, they'll say it right then and there because they feel like they need to, when it was never there. It's kind of like and I hate to sound so blunt, but it's like nobody asked you for your opinion, so why are you providing me with it? No, we're all adults. We're all, and I work with a lot of men, and ironically enough, I'm sorry to say this, but there are a lot of grown men that act like children. My age, younger, and my senior, that act like children because they don't have that understanding. They don't know how to not cross that boundary. So now, Rich, I definitely see it.
Do you see it with teachers or just the kids too, Rich?
Mostly kids. I think with education, like, you don't see it as much with the adults because they have to deal with the kids. But we do have a group of younger teachers who don't understand boundaries. I would say that comes from maturity or lack of. The kids are definitely socially different. I'm not going to say awkward or anything like that, because that just doesn't seem like the right word to use. But the kids right now, I think that they've been put into a world that they don't understand boundaries. This world that we live in now with social media and access to everything in the world has definitely taken away from what you're capable of or even understanding. There was so much interaction with humans at one point that we understood, you're in somebody's bubble, like back up a little bit. Like there's no need for you to touch somebody just to speak to them, things like that. Or even just, questions that you just know that you should not ever ask. Kids don't get that now because they have access to everything. So they feel, I have the information. I should be able to ask whatever question I want, whenever I want, regardless of who you are. And they don't realize, like, that's not your place and you don't need to know that. I have a bunch of kids. They're like, oh, what's your first name? I'm like, Mister.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Never in my life did I ever
I
want to
bet he
know.
says it just like that.
No, I do. Like I never
I
in my
still
life
don't know
wanted to
about
say
teachers'
that.
first names.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, for what? You know, what purpose is that to tell you my first name? You don't need to know that. It's not going to change anything in your life. I get to work.
That's crazy, man. You know, one of the things, and I just I was jogging by Solomon, right? Shout out to Solomon Soletic Saw, right? AYN, right? And he invited me in his house, and he his little daughter Anaya, she's, what did she say? She's small, but she was super social, and she approached me and we talked the whole time, and then Joey FaceTimed me and we were talking to her. But both of them, like her parents, Solomon and his wife, I think one of the big things too, and I'm thinking about my mom too, but I think they're so disconnected from technology that brings her out socially. I'm thinking about, like, you know, like Rich and even my dad, like, you know, Rich knew my dad and my mom, and they were super sarcastic and funny, and that's where I developed it. But they were always bust Rich's chops all the time, you know. I don't know why they liked that guy and loved that guy, but they did.
Hey, you can't help it, man. I'm a lovable
But
person.
you know, and I'm thinking, and think about back then, Rich, like when we were talking, and Rich knew my mom too. He was around, you know, at the latter stages, but there was no technology. So even if we're going in and out, even the fact of coming to my house to come scoop me up, or oh, I'm going out, well, tell Rich to come in real quick, you know, and that quick socialization, I think technology is really the biggest detriment when you talk about socialization, emotional intelligence, all that stuff. I think it really hinders. I see it with Joey too, you know. Joey went at his mom's, and you guys know he plays Xbox for hours, and when he transitions here, he has to almost like detox from that to get back here, and then he knows, like, we need to talk, and we need to, you know, we don't do the phone, we don't do the games, you know, rarely, only when we're smashing Twizzy and his son in the dad son battle.
Here we go.
Over here. But technology is really an obstacle, even in school. You know, with my kids too. One of the biggest thing that bothers me as an educator is I walk through the school, and these kids are quite literally like this down, won't even to like to a staff. It's nuts to me that happens. The main thing, you know, and I want to circle back, right? So with emotional intelligence, you know, and I had, you know, saved this on the thing. So you have to have self-awareness. That's the biggest thing, self-awareness, right? So to be aware of yourself is super simple. So you got to have the ability to self-regulate. That's a big thing, right? So Twizzy was doing that when he was cranky in the beginning of the show. Now he's happy, right? So
oh man,
you have to make that switch, right? I'm sure he'll text me later, you know. All joking aside, you know, we got 5 minutes left, but you know, I told Twiz, you know, he thought I was joking, but seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. Like the switch, when we lose that hour and it's dark, it's a legitimate real thing where people are affected by it all the time. And that comes into emotional intelligence. You got to be able to self-regulate. And if something's off, you have to have the ability to go cope appropriately to something. You need to motivate yourself. You have to have empathy, right? So empathy is the biggest thing, right? And you have to have social skills. So be emotionally intelligent. You have to be good at social skills, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, and self-awareness. And I think a lot of times
it's full circle.
People don't really have that. People don't have that anymore. And it bothers me. I was talking to my friend Ron. Shout out to Ron. I don't know if he ever saw this, but if he did, I'll buy you lunch if you see this. But at the hospital. So this
guy's giving out prizes.
Yeah, right.
Listen. It's really to prove a point, right? So this is my quick, you know, this whole podcast in general is almost like a research project, right? So when we get to next week, and absolutely none of these people, besides the people we talk to regularly, cash in, so to speak. But I, working with kids so long, have lost the ability to utilize certain terminology that I've had when I speak to adults. And I find myself not being able to find those words that I typically use, even right now in this conversation, right? So speaking with adults, something that snaps, and I have the ability to kind of speak more eloquently, more educated, but working with kids for 9 periods a day, I lose that ability. So I also have to transition. My emotional intelligence has to switch back on when I go to speak with educated people. And again, that's the thing, but intellectually educated people too. You know, you don't have to Twizzy, you know, he doesn't have to have a college degree, but he makes more money than everybody on the planet, right? Because he's a hard worker. I saw that. I saw that as my thing. You know, part of my emotional intelligence, I have to have the ability to socialize more with adults because I work with kids so much. It's honestly affecting my vocabulary, even my mental capacity. It's just not the same because I'm dealing differently on a different wavelength for 8 hours a day. And I have to have the emotional intelligence to go fix that. So my goal for myself was to socialize more. You know, me and Twizzy, Rich, you don't know yet, but we're gonna go visit you sometime in the near future for a weekend. You know, that's my thing too. I have to see them. You know, my goal is to socialize more with adults and also go visit the people that, you know, who I care about and love. And we're about to wrap up now. You know, we'll come back on hopefully with my 1942 computer that is the worst ever. But you know, I want to talk about some other stuff too that we haven't talked together. But like I said, for the Collective Thought fans out there who regularly hear our podcast, we thank you.
We appreciate you.
Or thank you for the respect. Thank you for being patient. That we have 3 adults here who are super responsible and have other engagements that we have to that occupy us. Shout out to that lovely lady who said I have a really nice voice, Twizzy. So that got me motivated today too. And we'll be back in a few.